Hi, I'm Maggie McLean. I am a producer and founder at Nevermind Pictures, and I hate air conditioning.
I want to welcome Maggie Margaret McLean. McLean?
Yeah.
I said. Why am I feeling weird about it?
Yeah.
Into the show, to this version of the show, we're doing a little like cafecito, mezcalcito, in celebration of Cheers, of Wrong Girls coming out, but also we can toast to that.
Mm-hmm. Get the sound effect of the slurp.
Get the sound effect. You guys hear that?
It's authentic.
ASMR, friends.
Yeah.
You were one of my first guests back in 2018 when I was like little baby toddler venturing out with my little Pelican case and my microphones being like, I want to talk to producers and talk about our journey. And you came to my house, my apartment at the time that I shared with my ex. A lot has changed. And when there were no cameras back then, it was just us with mics. And it's just crazy, like how much has changed in both our lives since. And yet not much has changed in a way as well. So it's like, I guess, thank you for being one of the first people to say yes when no one was doing this. And like people didn't just have podcasts. Now it's like a cute thing everybody does. But people were like, you're doing what? And the show was called Life with Caca. So people were like, it's called what? And you're talking to who? And you were just like, fuck yeah, count me in. So
It's like, yeah, of course. I'm so down.
Yeah. So,
no,
and I just remember being like, she's so cool. And you had the coolest nails and the coolest hair. And I was like,
so nice.
I can hang with these like cool girls.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Was I going through a nail phase?
Yeah,
then?
you were in the acrylic nail phase, and you were like, I only feel powerful with my claws. I remember that.
Yeah.
Line
that was
from
like,
that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just am like, that was that like when you say it was 2018, I'm like, oh yeah, like 2 years ago, totally. And it never registers to me how far away 2018 is, or that we're fully, living completely different lives. I was still living in this house then, actually.
Yeah. But 8 years ago, I mean, it was like pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I had not met my husband, had a baby. Like so much life has happened since.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like 8 years ago, and it's cool that I'm still doing the show and how it's evolved, and I'm like proud of where it is, and like But it's like the people that yes-anded me early days, I like hold a special place in my heart because it's like nobody understood what I was doing just yet. Not that I'm like some visionary by all means, but like talking to producers and folks like us just is like something I'm still deeply passionate about doing. So
absolutely. I mean, like I'm so grateful that you reached out to me. I remember that being a moment for me where I really felt, I was on my own a lot. Producing's a very solitary experience for a lot of people. And in that moment, I very much was like, oh, wait, I'm a producer. People care, It was kind of early on in my producing career. And I was just so used to being out in the field, like doing the hustle. And I feel so good to be here now with you and a completely different version of our lives. Like what has changed for you since then is what I want to know. I mean, we hang out for sure, but like the people got to know. It's been 8 years.
I mean, a lot, like back then, had an ex, was living in a great apartment, just had a big, was working a ton. 2018 was like a really busy season for me. And then when the pandemic hit, I think it was a really great shift into focusing more on my own creative projects, because I had been a for hire line producer for most of my career at that point, which was something that we really bonded over because you also come from that side and music videos and shorts. And for those who have not listened to the OG episode with Maggie, if you can get past the fact that I sound like a toddler, it's a wonderful insight into a bit of more about Maggie's journey, which I won't get into because we have juicier stuff to talk about. But just went through a lot of changes and a lot of growth from 2020 to now.
Sure.
And obviously on the personal side, I mean, truly, some people do. Some people
I hope you went through some growth and changes.
I did. And hopefully we're always growing. But it was just a season of really big changes for me of the existential crisis of should I stay in this business, which is a weekly question, basically at this point. A lot of changes, but a lot of things for the better. I mean, I got to go be an executive for Issa Rae for a couple of years and have that experience and, make a couple movies and a doc. And now I'm sort of back to figuring out next steps when it comes to that and have my own projects. But, the time I've been able to put a lot of time into the podcast over these last 2 years. And it's been really a great outlet for me to have some sense of control of what I'm creating, how I'm showing up, and how I can hope to continue to inspire others to sustain themselves emotionally in this business through these conversations, because I know we all need it regardless of whether or not you identify as a producer. And I think that's a cool thing of how this show has evolved is I will always be front and center thinking about us, but opening up that aperture a little bit more and having conversations with other folks around things they want producers to know, with actors and filmmakers. It's been really cool. So yeah, it's been a good time, but also a hard fucking time. Let's not be dance around that. The last 3 years have been brutal for most people. And a lot of my friends have left the business, have had to pivot altogether, can't afford to stay here. And that's been really challenging. So I think coming up on 20 years in LA, I think I'm reflecting very much on, my own journey and what I've built and the people that are still in my ether and how we show up for each other.
Totally.
Because that really matters.
It does. Yeah. I think it's important. I'm so grateful that you're doing for doing this podcast, because I do think a lot of the conversation around what's happening in our industry right now has a lot to do with crew, as it should. But what people don't necessarily always realize or understand is that it's the producers are being heavily impacted as well. And if I'm not talking about the producers that work at the studios and have deals on the lot or whatever. I'm talking about the day-to-day producers, the people that you normally see on set with people, and how heavily impacted that community is right now in this moment as well. And with the understanding that, that's one difference between where I was then and now is that I worked in commercials and music videos for so long, and now I'm doing indie film. And it's shocking to me still how much you're expected to know as an indie producer. You have to understand the ins and outs every single step of the way, making a movie, releasing a movie, where the market's at, how you put the money together, who the financiers are, et cetera, how to run post in certain scenarios. I'm very grateful that I work with incredible people, but simultaneously I'm in this position where I'm constantly learning still. And I think you're not producing if you're not constantly learning, honestly. Yeah. But to me, it's the amount of sweat equity that producers have to put into a project to have it come to fruition, and how many projects these days make it all the way to the festival circuit and then do not get distribution. And then you just the expectation for indie producers is that if your project goes over budget, depending on the finance plan, you put your fee in. And so there are producers that work for years and years and years and years on projects who don't even see a penny out of it. It's not a sustainable system. And, I didn't come here to talk about that, but it is, I just am hats off to all producers. I know all indie producers. I'm so impressed by every single person who is still fighting the good fight and still trying to fight for the crew members and get them work and fight for just treating people well.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
Yeah. It sounds so simple, but somehow hard to do for a lot of folks.
I know.
It's crazy. But with you, you obviously, it's been a year now, 2 years since you joined Nevermind or created Nevermind?
We started
Kristen?
Nevermind. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
You want to say it again?
People talk over each other. Yeah. So it's fine. We can talk over each other.
Okay, great. Yeah. Sorry, I don't do this often.
Oh my God, you're doing great. Her bangs look amazing. Don't they look amazing?
Okay, thank you. God, I'm blushing. We started Nevermind at the end of 2023. And that was with the intention of just trying to have a little more autonomy over our projects. The strikes were happening. everyone had a little bit more time. I was producing commercials in 2023. Honestly, I was going kind of nonstop, and we were like, let's start this production company and see what happens. Kristen had Chronology of Water. Dylan had The Wrong Girls. That was our goal. We were just like, let's just get these movies made. And we started, in just, I think in August of 2023 is when we started getting serious about it. And then pretty quickly, Chronology got financed. We were out in Latvia making Chronology. And then while we were in Latvia making Chronology, Wrong Girls got greenlit. I landed from the shoot in Latvia on like a Thursday, and I was out scouting for The Wrong Girls the following Monday. It's just been kind of a whirlwind. We just wrapped about a month ago our third feature, Flesh of the Gods, which is also the coolest movie ever. And I am just sitting here kind of like living the dream, feeling like I am in a dream constantly. I'm so proud of what we've created. I'm so proud of Nevermind. I'm so proud of Dylan and Kristen and how hard they've worked to get us here, how hard I've worked to get us here. You know, the three of us are truly like we're a very strong triangle.
I love me a triangle metaphor.
You know?
So it's very good. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and you, it's interesting because you got to also then produce Dylan's directorial debut now with Wrong Girls, though she did a short feature directorial debut, in Kristen's.
Yeah.
So not just like producing films on a slate, but like two very important moments in their lives as filmmakers. So was there a difference for you? For those who don't know, Dylan is one of your best friends, if not your best friend.
Yeah.
So you guys have a really deep history. And obviously Kristen, I'm sure you knew her socially through Dylan before, but then being in a position where now you're producing and it's someone of Kristen's level, like, do you approach how you produce for these two separate directors any differently because of that?
I mean, I think the movie lends to having like a different approach. Like, I think, you know, Kristen and we became very close. Dylan and Kristen have been together for a minute. We became very close during the pandemic, and I ended up producing some music videos for her in 2023 for Boy Genius, and that was kind of one of the things that kicked off Nevermind in a way where we were just understood that we all really spoke the same language when it came to making things, and we all had the same priorities. And so you're making a movie like Chronology of Water. We were shooting it in Latvia with a couple of days in Malta, with a foreign crew, limited budget, and shooting on film and trying to get as much as you possibly could, just fighting for every single shot, every single day. And with a movie that's about, you know, female empowerment in its own way, and this movie that's really riding the line between intensity and levity in a way. Yeah. You know, like, I think people look at Chronology and they think it's a fairly intense movie, and and Kristen feels the same way. Like, we think it's a really fun ride, honestly. Yeah. And I mean, fun's maybe an intense, I don't know if that's the word, but it has these moments where it breathes in this really beautiful way. And I think, you know, supporting Kristen in that moment, we were really on the other side of the world. It was really her and I who made that movie together. And there's the fly. We tried to get it. We couldn't get it.
Couldn't do it. I feel like we're in that at one episode
of
Breaking Bad
over there.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was a movie. And like, honestly, for me, I think it was transformative. I was going through some personal stuff. I had just suffered like a massive loss like a month before we left to go make Chronology. So when it was terrible. My best friend died. And like, it was, I went to go make Chronology of Water, and I was in this like deep state of grief on the other side of the world, isolated from everyone outside of two of my closest friends in the world. And so for me, that was like its own experience as well, you know, not to like bring too much personal into it, but we're human beings when we're doing this, and you're giving your entire life every single day to the movie when you're in production and when you're on set. And so I think it's important to kind of just be like, yeah, we're all going through shit as we're living the dream in a way,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Well, yeah, life doesn't pause because you're in production on what to the outside world could be like the best thing ever or a
Yeah.
peak of your career. And you have to honor that because if you suppress it, then, you know, there's a lot of hurt, broken, cynical people in the industry. And I think that's because like it's hard to unplug from the matrix sometimes. And it's hard to like process life because this at its best is so intense and it requires so much of us that you have to be really discerning of when you're in the chapters of when you're gonna like purposely take a break and like just be a human that isn't like functioning at these levels. And I know you're in that season that we were talking off mic of just like the intensity, and it's like such a blessing, but it is feast or famine. Like you wrap a movie, a month later you go start another movie into the outside world, you're like, oh my God, like you're living the dream. And it's like, yes. And you can also be exhausted and depleted and burnt out and like miss your husband and your dogs and your house. You know what I mean? Like both truths can coexist. So, you know, I think it's important to honor that.
I completely agree. I think it's so important to bring the humanity into what we do because, and it's how I operate on set. It's how I communicate with people. It's how I communicate with the directors. And like, you know, it's so important to me to maintain that level of authenticity as you're going through the process, because I really think that it starts from the top in a lot of ways in terms of the tone that is set on set. And like, I just, you know, I just made a movie where multiple people came up to me after, mostly women, and they were just like, I'm so grateful for you guys and for having us on this set, because there's not a lot of sets I'm on where I see so many women that are sitting in the producer's village and like working so closely with the director. And beyond that, like one of the greatest compliments I received was that someone was like, you don't create a hierarchy on set. And I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
I was like, absolutely. That's my goal. Like I started as a PA, you know, I started as a PA. I worked my way up the line. I worked in physical production for a very long time. And now I'm doing this job. And like, I'm so grateful every single day. And it's not lost on me at all. But it's so important to me to bring that like same scrappy, like I started when I was 18, like 18-year-old PA into like every single thing I do now.
Yeah.
And so to get back to your question, like Chronology of Water is a completely different movie. The way we shot it, it's a completely different experience than it was to shoot The Wrong Girls. And like The Wrong Girls, we shot in LA. We were home. It was joyous. It was cozy. It was this like incredible cast. We didn't have like the struggles that we had on Chronology. We had like, it was a completely different experience. It was still hard. Don't get me wrong. We still had really stressful long days with the issues that, you know, the issues that present themselves in Latvia are different than the ones that present themselves in LA. And so, you know.
But I want to shout out that you did get to make this movie in LA. And I know you guys went into production right after the fires, if I'm not mistaken, or you were prepping, or I forget if you had to push or what it was. But it was obviously a really stressful time, a terrible time for many people. But to go into production on the heels of that is also super challenging. But, you know, making a movie in LA is not easy. And it should be easier. And there's a lot of people and advocacy and policy and people really working to help change this and combat this. But I know that, you know, we discussed some of the challenges that you had, but some of the beautiful things about it too, you know, and I think there's like space for both. But what would you say was one of the highlights of getting to shoot in LA, besides being home and going to sleep in your own bed?
I mean, that part of it is fun, but also there's, you know, I think for me, we went into prep in December of 2024. And so we were in hard prep. We were in hard prep. Everyone was at the production office the day that the fires started. And it was devastating. Multiple crew members lost homes. You know, if they didn't lose homes, there were more that were displaced because their homes were impacted by the fires. It was a crazy moment to be shooting in LA. we were one of the first productions, if not the first indie movie, maybe, that started rolling after the fires. We started rolling early February. And so to me, I was very proud of us for really sticking to it. We had to push our start date just a couple of days. But I was really proud of us for being able to be there to support the local crew and to be able to still give people a joyous experience after that had happened, and a paycheck after that had happened.
Yeah,
and that was really important. And beyond that, just shooting in LA. I grew up shooting in LA. It's my favorite place in the world to shoot. So
yeah,
I was giddy every day.
It is pretty great. Yeah. Imperfect and all, it's still pretty great. I've been fortunate that most of the films I've made have been in LA.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know anything else. Imperfections included, it's like the devil I know, I guess. But I want to bring it back a little bit to 2018 because there were some fun things I wanted to shout back. Because you came from the music video world, and you said in that interview that your whole motto was low budget, high expectations. That was like the standard. Now that you're in the indie feature filmmaking world, do you feel like that's still the case?
Well, the expectations are now kind of set by me and my fellow producers and the director.
Yeah.
We don't have like a label to answer to in the same way I did then. And in indie, there's so much more autonomy in indie filmmaking.
Yeah.
And so yes and no. It's I don't have a commissioner to answer to anymore. I have my fellow filmmakers and sometimes a couple financiers that we need to chat with, depending on the setup. Yeah. But definitely still low budget, high expectation. That hasn't changed. No, and if anything, lower budget.
Lower budget, high expectations. Yeah. You said that also the best way to learn is through experience and fucking up. Do you still agree?
100%. Said this in a meeting like a couple of days ago with someone where I just was like, the only way to learn how to produce is by fucking up. You need to trip and fall and get back up again and keep going. And like that is what makes a good producer. It's not someone who does everything perfectly. Every single time we make something, and I'm sure I said this in 2018, every single time we make something, it is the first time that has ever happened. It is the first time that group of people have come together to make the thing. It is the first time that specific thing has been made. It is the first time that thing has been made in that moment. Like, it is a unique experience every single time. We are constantly reacting to various external obstacles that just kind of throw themselves at us. And as a producer, you have to be constantly dodging and lifting back up and fucking up and tripping and falling and being like, it's okay, guys, we got it.
Though I do think like there should be some boundaries around what it means to fuck up, because I think there are some fuck ups that are inexcusable and non-negotiable. Like you should have, handgun safety on set, for example.
Yes.
Basic things.
Yes.
I think anything that deals with people's safety is never an opportunity to learn and fuck up and be like, whoopsies, in my opinion, and I'm sure your opinion. Like,
no,
there are certain things that are not okay, but the rest of it, like, you really do learn by doing. But also having people around you that give you the grace to fuck up and don't penalize you for that. And that is sometimes really hard to find. And I do worry, like, we're in such a different time, right, where like for younger folks coming up, I get people sliding in my DMs all the time who are trying to break in. And it's like, there's less and less opportunity for that kind of mentorship because there's less production. So there's less PAs that can start and like rise the ranks. And so there's just like less spots available for people to learn and have that modeled for them on how it can be, even if you get on sets where people aren't kind or whatever, but like seeing what is possible is the way that you step into that kind of leader for yourself as well as you're climbing the ranks. And I think modeling that is super important. I talk about that a lot. So yeah, I mean, there are some things that, again, I just think are like non-acceptable fuck ups.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like to me, I might be an annoying producer when it comes to safety because I really am like the first guy who's like on set, like, excuse me, that's unacceptable. But that to me is part of my job, is to protect. And I protect everyone around me, whether it's the crew, whether it's my business partners, whether it's the creative for the film. It's constantly
I think
a game of
nothing
protection.
we're doing is ever worth anyone's safety or well-being, really. And anyone who's ever putting you in that position, like, leave.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It really isn't. Like, there'll be someone else or another opportunity or another project that can really honor your truth. So, okay. So you mentioned so that, you had taken a pause from production, right? And that you had this experience on set with diners, drive-ins, and dives. You remember that? That sort of inspired you to move back to LA and get back into production after some time away. So I guess I'm curious, in the spirit of that, what is your favorite diner, drive-in in LA?
Shout out Betty's Ocean View Diner, by the way. And that episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Your girl featured on that episode. It's my claim to fame.
We need to find that clip. We need to find it. We need to license that.
Why isn't that on my IMDb?
Damn.
But
missed opportunity.
But my favorite diner in LA, it's Cindy's. Like, I live in Eagle Rock. I love Cindy's forever. It's an amazing, delicious diner with the coolest people and the best pie. Yeah.
Shout out to Cindy's. I love it. Okay, which is more stressful, the run and gun of tight commercial deadlines or development hell?
I find development hell more stressful because I really I operate well on a deadline. And for me, when I was doing commercials, it almost became this kind of like just add water experience for me, or like this turnkey experience where it was just like, okay, go, 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 go. I know exactly what I need to be doing when I need to be doing it. Whereas development hell, you are just, flailing is a strong word, but it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
It is a fight that you are constantly fighting that can go on for years and years. And beyond that, just the amount of meetings. There's a lot of meetings required in development.
It's a lot of talking about the thing instead of getting to do the thing.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I struggle with,
Yeah.
I'm like, when do we get to do the thing? And let's just do the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Can we just go do the thing? I think I will take the stress of run and gun any day, because then I can point to something I've accomplished and completed, for better or for worse. But development is this like amorphous thing that is outside of your control, frankly. You're waiting on other people a lot of the times, and then there can be a change of guard depending on how things are set up, and then you're just reactive. I guess you're constantly in the reactive seat, whereas in production, it is literally in the word pro. You're productive. You have to be proactive to make things happen, and I just like really respond to that energy a lot more.
Same.
Yeah. So
it's so much yeah.
Also in 2018, you said on the podcast that we should make a movie together, and it's been 8 years. And
yeah, when are we going to make a movie together? We need to figure that out.
I don't know.
But that's nice that you wanted to make a movie.
I know. You were like, dude, we should make a movie. And then I was like, let's do it. And then you've now made a bunch of movies, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I'll be on deck up next.
Yes, please.
That would be so dreamy.
Let's take a meeting. I love them.
I love meetings. Let's do it. Let's talk about what we want to do all day, every day. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you're enjoying this episode, please subscribe wherever you get your audio-only podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit that like button, whichever version. And if you want to go even further and deeper, I hope you'll head on over to angleonproducers.com to subscribe to our Substack, where you can find way more offerings, community gatherings, mixers, events here in LA especially, and ways for us to connect deeper. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the episode. So let's talk about Wrong Girls, because it's such a fun movie. The film was inspired by your friendship with Dylan.
Yes.
And I'd love to know just a little bit of the genesis. I know this was like a passion project for Dylan that took a while to find its path to green light, as we like to say. And then, I want to know then how the real you, the both of you, overlap with some of the characters, and where maybe it's just complete wackadoo banana stuff that they just added, or maybe it is 100% real. And either way, I mean, I'm here for it.
What if it was?
I'd be all. I believe it.
It's all real.
I would say that you lived a very exciting chapter of your life.
Yes.
And that is one for the memoir.
Yes, exactly. No, I mean, it is So Dylan started writing this when we lived together in our 20s. And I don't think we thought it would take until our late 30s to get it made. But here we are.
Dreams come true, guys.
They just
But
take
how
a
did you
while
guys
sometimes.
meet? How did you guys meet?
Oh, man. We met when I was like 19 and she was 20, 21-ish. And I was living...
What a nice way to say that you're the younger friend.
I mean, whatever.
It's fine.
I was living in this like punk house with some friends of mine, and my friend, like as you do, lived on a mattress in the living room, and he was like dating this chick who we became friends with, and then she ended up introducing Dylan and I when Dylan was home from college. I then immediately moved up to Berkeley, and I was like, I'm out of here, LA, and Dylan moved back to LA and was like, I need a roommate. And I wanted to be you, Maggie. And I was like, that's cool. I live in the Bay Area. And she was like, no, but you don't understand it. It must be you. And then through her ways, she ended up getting me back down in LA, essentially, you know, introducing me to someone who then became my partner for a couple of years. After that, I ended up falling in love and like had a relationship, and it was great, blah, 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 with a friend of hers, and brought me back down to LA. And then Dylan and I ended up living together for 5 years. And it was like 5 glorious years, 5 years of like chaotic stability, I would say. It was beautiful. And I was a PA and she was an assistant to an exec, and both of us had dreams of making movies together one day. And she wanted to be a screenwriter and I wanted to be a producer, and we were just both like very invested in our realities or our futures really at that point. And like also just being crazy, lazy, working really hard. Lazy is not really fair to both of us, honestly. Yeah. But we were like, you know, a little wild back then. We're still cool, don't get me wrong, but then we were real cool. And so she wrote The Wrong Girls, started writing The Wrong Girls about both of us. And then while we were living together, I met my now husband, Josh, and we were facing the reality that I was going to have to move out of the house to go live my life and be with this man I'd like absolutely fallen head over heels in love with. And she was grappling with the reality of like losing me to like someone who was so wonderful. And so the Molly Josh relationship very much inspires a lot of like Frankie's like anger, sass, whatever towards Josh was not real. It's definitely really accentuated in this film, but it was like kind of an ongoing joke between us like back then that like Dylan fucking hated Josh because he was taking me away from her. And that was like a big inspiration. And that's like a big part of the film really at the end of the day is that, you know, people get into all of the various plot points, but to Dylan and I, that's like the drama driver of the entire thing. That's the reality of loving someone so much, like loving your best friend so desperately, and then watching them fall in love with someone else and like wanting them to kind of go into that next phase of their lives. That was something that was so real for us. It's like a massive internal conflict. And so that's a big part of the film. And then beyond that, Frankie and Molly, I think, are like a combination of both of us in a lot of ways, and a lot of the other friends, a lot of the other like wrong girls that we know in our lives. And, you know, there are moments in there that are very much inspired by me, but there are moments in there that are just inspired by the grimiest girls I know. And I love cooking. That's where a lot of like Molly's cooking comes from. The cats were very real. Dylan and I, when we lived together, we had this like ongoing like rotating cast of like cats that we were fostering, and various things would happen to them for various reasons. All good, like not irresponsible. Let me just say, we were not irresponsible with the cats. We loved the cats a lot, but you know, you foster a cat, they find a home, whatever. At one point we were fostering a very sick cat that ended in a very sad way, but we gave him a beautiful life for the last few months of his life. And you know, I think the Wrong Girls really is just about the joy of friendship and the joy of female friendship and the love and support that goes along with it. And that is so present in The Wrong Girls, the movie. And I think I just lost my train of thought in that sentence.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean, but folks would say that it's a stoner comedy. I mean, it's fair to say that that's a huge element. I mean, weed is like a third character in all of this, and I don't know how much that was like an element of y'all's friendship to that degree. And you don't have to say anything about that unless you want to. But like, we've had a lot of films that kind of touch on this, like you can be silly and zany, but still have like stakes that are internal for the characters. They're usually male leads, and I don't really think we can point to a female two-hander like this that deals with two girls that also just like love weed a lot,
Well, I think also a big part of it is just that they're messy. And like that is us. Like we are messy girls. Like, and it was the first time I got to live with someone else and I didn't have someone bugging me to clean up all the time. And I never bugged her to clean up all the time. And did that lead to somewhat of a chaotic household? Sure. But was it our chaotic paradise? Yes. And like, did we smoke a lot of weed? Absolutely. And did we have a great time doing it? Totally. And were we still responsible and kept our lives together? Mostly. And so like, I do think that it is important. Like women are really, really held to a certain standard in reality and also in films where it's like, it is this stupid expectation that we all kind of keep our shit together when we really don't. The coolest women I know are just absolute messes, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, there's this like, when Dylan and I were living together, there was this one day where this dude was over, he was hanging out with us and we had all these fairy lights all over our house all the time that were like attached to like various nails, and they would like fall down and get back up and fall. And like we were constantly fixing the fairy lights. And one day I was trying to fix the fairy lights and I'm talking to this dude and I'm talking to Dylan and I just am like, I mean, that's the thing, Dylan. Face it, we're destroyers. And then I plug in the fairy lights and then blew a fuse and every light in our house went out all at the same. And it was like, it felt like it was out of a movie kind of thing. But from then on, like Dylan and I just called it, we're just destroyers. Like that's just what we do. And that's okay. And we embrace it. And that's what Wrong Girls is about. It's about embracing that chaos.
Yeah. But did you guys have a hard time in selling this pitch? Did people really struggle to see those layers? Because it does also come across. And like, weed to a lot of people is cool, but it's still taboo in some parts of the world, certainly. So like, how did you guys handle that part of it, I guess?
I mean, I think we just push on the authenticity of it. Like Dylan has this anecdote that like there were many execs who basically were like, well, this doesn't make sense. This would never happen. Like, why does Frankie say this? Or why does Molly say this? This doesn't make... And Dylan would be like, that's literally happened to me. Or that's literally happened to a friend of mine. Where it was, with love and respect to the Hollywood execs that we deal with on a regular basis, I think that there's a lot of people who live kind of a more straight-laced square lifestyle than the one Dylan and I lived. And allowed ourselves to live, And I think... that's what people are going to feel when they watch this movie is like there's this like true sense of authenticity that's like that runs through the entire film because it is us in a lot of ways and it is a lot of the women we know and love in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Is there anything in like the set design or the costume that are like Easter eggs that are really intrinsic to you guys?
There's definitely like half of my living room decor is in their house,
nice.
Like there's Celine, there's a cardboard cutout of Celine Dion in the film.
Yeah.
And when Dylan and I lived together, we had Roy Orbison, and we had a cardboard cutout of Roy Orbison. Roy was our third roommate. We really, really loved him. He would wear a Santa hat during the holidays. He was, our number one boyfriend for quite some time. And so when we were making The Wrong Girls, we were like, who's going to be the cardboard cutout? And Celine Dion became like the obvious choice. And then there's kind of like a couple more Celine Easter eggs throughout the film. But that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like their dining room table looked a lot like our little dining room table, which was really sweet. And like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an energy to the set design that being in your place doing this, like I feel, though I see the dramatization of the chaos in the set design
Yeah.
for that, you
Yeah.
know, that is not present here necessarily, but
Sure.
like this is the grown up version of that.
Yeah.
I sense, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
which is super cool. It's like makes it that much more special to be here. But you know, you guys had an amazing cast, and I know you had a stint of your career where you like worked in casting. So when you look at some of these folks that came out to play, like LaKeith Stanfield, Seth Rogen, Kumail Nanjiani, Geena Davis, and also Kate McKinnon, who like is a scene stealer. Like, don't put her in your movies because like she's
incredible.
She's incredible.
She?
I'm like, I want her origin story every time.
Yeah.
But like, what was that like for you? What, you know, seeing this entire cast come together and support a film that is very much like left of center in a lot of ways. And even my husband was like, Geena Davis, and I was like, yeah. She's a feminist, man. She's in this.
Yeah. Well, Dylan and her are close in real life. And so she just was like, yeah, I'll come out and be in your movie. I would love to be in your movie. And so that's part of it, is that like the heart, the true like love of the people for each other in this film, in the process of making this film, is so, so evident when you watch it. And like that's Geena. That's why she's in the movie. You know, like Kate really just like took a chance on us, which was cool. and you know, but I mean, I think that like Kristen and Alia were in from the beginning. Like we just like we're so, so excited to be working with both of them, and it had to be Kristen and Alia in our minds.
Yeah.
And LaKeith came in, and we were so grateful that he was like down. We had producers in common, but not like he just read the script and was into it. And we were like, he likes it. What? Cool. You know, it's that like moment where you've been like reading a script over and over for over 10 years.
Like,
and then suddenly
good?
You're like,
is anyone getting this?
You start getting that feedback, which we're about to really get from the world. And that's scary. But yeah, I think from a casting perspective, it was just really, I was really, really grateful for it. I was really grateful for like everyone who wanted to come and hang out with us. And these days, you know, I did casting, and that was on a much different movie
levels.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I really loved it when I did it, and I think that there's just this like natural understanding of who does and doesn't work, and I really feel like we ended up with a really cool cast that was right for the movie.
Yeah. I in watching the film last night, which I did not have the privilege of seeing it with an audience or indulging in some marijuana libations myself. I was tired and sober on the couch post shooting my first short.
Congratulations. I'm so excited for you.
I can't wait to talk about it and tell you more about it. But I thought a lot about you in watching this film, because it's like, yes, you have Dylan, you have Kristen. Oh my God, like this incredible cast. But I was like, God, like knowing how close you are to this, it's like about you but not about you. It's one of your best friends who's now a business partner, who's also directing, who's also married to the lead, who's a big star. And I'm thinking like, what was this experience like for Maggie and all of its spectrum of emotions and feelings of being so front and center of making something that is like deeply personal but also not? Like, so what was that like for you? And now that you're on the other side of making it, now that it's about to come out, like, have you given yourself a moment to reflect on all the things?
Big question. Yes. I mean, I think it is a movie. You know, it's interesting working with your closest friends. It's the dream. And at the same time, it's this like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in a professional environment and I need to like act professional for a second and do my job and find the balance of like, especially as a producer director dynamic is like a tricky one to begin with.
Yeah.
You're the guy that has to deliver all the bad news all the time, you know? And so it's like, and at the same time, like I never want to hurt my best friend and make her sad. And I now have to deliver news that might make her sad.
Yeah.
And like that in and of itself is complicated and hard. But at the same time, it's like you realize when you're working with your closest friends, like that's the safest space for you in the entire world. And so you might be experiencing something scary and new. And for Dylan, it was her first film, obviously. And so it was this like experience of trying to create a safe space for Dylan constantly, while also like allowing her to like learn the hard way a little bit, because it is really overwhelming being on set, and it is overwhelming being a director. It's overwhelming directing a film that you've been trying to get made for over a decade. And like, I think for her and for me, it was just this like, it was a bonding experience in a lot of ways, you know? And for Kristen, like, Kristen and I had just come off of making Chronology when we started prepping The Wrong Girls. And so I was just excited to watch Kristen act. You know, I was like, look at my girl go. Look at her doing the thing that she knows how to do well. And it was, again, it was like a set that was really, really full of love and support. And I don't say that just to say that. Like, it really, really was. And so to be able to just like watch the people you know best in the world and watch them absolutely kill it, that in and of itself is the dream. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And the fact that I get to be there and help, like, you know, push this along, I just feel very lucky every day. Yeah.
What quick advice would you give for producers or anyone in various lanes who sometimes do work with friends and maybe it doesn't go well, and like they have to then on the other side of that work experience figure out how to like navigate that? Because that's a question I've received. It's like, how do I went into this experience making this film with a friend. It did not go well. We did not professionally mesh. And now I'm struggling to figure out how to like navigate this next dynamic. And I was like, well, that's a great question, because everyone says, work with your friends. It's so great. But sometimes it isn't. Like, you have to be in the same wavelength too. It's not just, not all friendships translate, I guess. And so like, what advice would you have if anyone's like experienced that before?
Yeah. Hang on. I'm going to get my little dog. Ruby, come here.
You guys, this is Ruby. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should, because we've just had a very special guest join us.
Ruby's joining us.
She is adorable. She's very
she
tiny.
Can stop barking.
Oh my God, look at her
little
face.
Nasty girl.
She's so sweet.
What advice would I give for people? I would say try not to take things personally, because every single thing, even if it's like your best friend on the entire planet, they're experiencing different stressors that are causing a reaction to something. Yeah. And if it didn't go well, it's not necessarily their fault, your fault, anyone's fault. Like, that's the thing with working on set, is that you're constantly dealing with these like moments of stress and anxiety and chaos for various reasons. And like, I would really hope that the people that know and love me the most can like forgive me if I'm not graceful in a moment, you know? And that's the best part about doing our jobs, is that you have these moments of conflict and then you resolve them immediately. And like, not saying that there were these moments on Wrong Girls, because they weren't, but like, it was truly like pretty chill. But like, yeah, you can't judge your friends for the way that they react to things always, and in the chaos of a set.
Yeah. That's good advice. Good advice. Okay, final question. If you were given the choice, would you rather have telepathic powers with your best friend or your dogs? She's listening, so you say whatever you need to say. But
okay, well, my dogs are 10 and 12 now, and so I'm reaching this point in my life where I'm like, are you okay? And to be able to have them be like, yeah, I'm fine, chill, would be like a huge anxiety relief. But no, truly being able to talk to Dylan, especially in some of the rooms and the environments we're in, because now we own a business together, and now we're in a lot of meetings together, and now we're like going to all this stuff together.
Big girl pants.
To be able to just be like that moment when they walk into the party in the movie.
Yeah.
And they're just like talking to each other. Yeah. Like, I would kill to have that.
For that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, as much as I want to say I would talk to you, I'm like also very much afraid of the reality that like, what if they're assholes?
You'd rather not know. Don't meet your heroes, is what she's saying.
Yeah. We had this whole thing that kind of got cut from the movie. I mean, there's like a part of it that's still in the movie, but like, the cats are dicks is real. And like, you're like, wait, the cats hate us. I don't want to know that.
Well, I'm so proud of you. I hope you take a moment. I know it's hard because you got a lot going on. You're in the blessing season, but that you can take a moment to reflect and process and like acknowledge like everything you've done and like how amazing it is. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy to be having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
8 years later, here we are.
Oh my gosh, not enough time. Like we're already at the hour mark. Talk to you
so,
for another
it's crazy.
2 hours.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of everything that like we've both accomplished, and like here's to a million more movies.
More movies. Let's start with our first one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. I already finished my marg. So.
Ooh.